All right. Hello, pre-algebra. Welcome back to another episode of our screencast. We are on to, what is this down here? Okay. Simple and compound interest. Okay. So we look at both regular interest and compound interest. What are they? We see these in finance where you save money, and you also see it when you borrow money. So interest can be good, it can be bad. So how do you calculate interest? We use this thing called the interest formula. The amount of interest you earn or owe is you take the principal, how much money you invest or borrow, times the rate, your percentage rate. It's called an APR, annual interest rate, annual percentage rate. It has to be a decimal, or you have to use the percent button. Okay, you can use a percent button on your calculator, that's fine. And the time has to be in years. Okay, so if you get months, you have to convert that to years, or even days, you'd have to convert it to years. So I gotta move my camera. If we wanted to figure out the simple interest, rounding to the nearest cent, of $2,250 at 6% interest rate for 4 years, use your formula. The amount of interest will be the principal, how much money you invest, times the rate as a decimal. I like the decimal because I don't have to hit extra buttons, times the years. Now, notice it is in years, which is good. Okay, sometimes it's not given to us in years and you have to convert. In this case, it is in years. So let's do it. 2250 times 0.06 times 4 years. So after 4 years, I earned $540. Now remember, this is always in money. So if you're solving for the interest or the principal, make sure it's in dollars. If you solve for the rate, it's a percentage. And if you solve for time, it's obviously going to be in years. All right, same basic principle over here. We're going to do a little shortcut here. You take the principal times the rate times the time. I can just write it right in the problem there. 4,000 times 0.0425. If it starts as a decimal percent, that's okay. You just move it twice to the left, right? Times 1. You don't have to multiply by 1 because multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything, remember? The amount of interest here is $170. Easy as that. Finding interest is not hard. It's just using the formula. And I will give you the formula on any problems on the test. Okay. Next up, how do we solve for a different part of the equation? And this is where it gets a little trickier, but it's nothing we can't handle. All right, so this is where I would suggest setting up the formula. So it says she placed $2,400 Nantai, $2,400 in the bank. So that's the principal. For 5 years, that's the time. Remember, with multiplication, order doesn't matter. So there's a bunch of multiplication over here, so we can switch the principal, the rate, and the time. It's a he, sorry, Nantai, the he. He makes $9.20 in interest. So I is over here. So that means we're solving for the R. A couple things to remember. When we're solving for the R, we got to isolate the variable, get it by itself. Second thing, my rate is going to come out as a decimal, and I always want it as a percent. So to get a decimal back to a percent, you move it twice to the right or multiply it by 100. So I'm going to simplify this first because times 2,400 times 5 is a little confusing looking. 12,000. So 9.20 equals 12,000. Notice I left that 0 on there because anytime you deal with money, you should have 2 decimal places. How do I get rid of the 12,000? It's multiply. So we're going to divide by 12,000 to both sides. My mouse isn't working right. So our answer, 9.2 divided by 12,000 is 0.0007666. This is a terrible interest rate. That is like no money. Did I do this right? That's so small. It just doesn't even seem real. Let me just do it again. 9.2 divided by 12,000. Yeah. So it doesn't say like what we round to. So we're going to round it 0.08%. This is a terrible interest rate. I recommend finding a different way to invest your money. All right, you could do the same thing to solve for T or P. Notice the variable is going to be over here. You're going to multiply the two that are with the variable, divide it into the interest. In these problems, the interest will always be divided by the other two multiplied. All right, one more video coming up.